learning how to say hi or mama or how to wave and say goodbye are developmental milestones. And that happen during the first year of a baby. Well, today we have a very special treat for infant parents because we have the baby whisperer here in our podcast. Let me tell you why we call her like that. Because she has spent most of her professional career around babies. So she's become not only a student of babies and their behavior and their milestones, but she is the go-to person for any questions you have around town. If you want to know how to calm a baby, if you want to know how to put them to sleep, she would know the answer. And today I have our baby whisperer, Miss Leslie Bermudez. How are you?
How are you? Good, thank you.
How do you feel about that new nickname that I just gave you?
It's pretty nice. I like it because I feel that I do the job.
You've been around babies a long time.
Very long time.
So you become a student of babies.
Yes.
Okay, why do you still love working with babies?
I enjoy it ever since I was younger, about 4 years old. My brother was an infant at the time, and I used to take care of him. And I used to want to put him to sleep. I used to want to play with him. I used to want to show him how to do different things, to crawl, to eat. So since I was a young girl, I always loved the babies. So then I went professionally into it. When I was 18, I got my associates in early child care. And I got my first job in Children First in downtown.
Yeah.
And I started with the infants since then.
That's amazing. And you wouldn't want to go to any other age group in the world?
No, I would not.
Okay,
I love all ages, but they are my favorite.
Right, but why is that? What is the personality of somebody that works and is a professional in an infant room?
I feel that that's my calling. I could understand them. I know their needs. I know how they are. Each of them are different. So I know each and one of them. Once I get to know them, at least for a day or so, I already get to know a little bit about them and see how they are in their character, how they like to sleep, how they like to eat. In every little aspect, I'll be knowing them little by little.
You form very strong relationships with all those babies. It must be very like, I don't know, a reality check when you see big babies come back. Like years later?
Yes, years later.
Yeah, you had that happen to you?
I seen them from my baby room all the way to when they graduate in the BBK room.
Oh, and then
this is
and then like high school? Have you seen
high school?
some?
Yes, I have seen high
They're
school.
counting,
yes.
people. They're counting. How many
Yes.
years? So let's talk about unpack because like parents of infants, especially if they're new parents, have so many questions about the infant room, right?
Yes.
What are those like questions that
And
they
I
ask you?
understand them because imagine their precious little baby. You know, they only been out in the world for a few months, few days. They're leaving them somewhere where they're not in because they have to go to work, because they have necessity. And they want a place that they could trust. So this is where I come in to make that connection with the parent and with the infant as well, in order for the parent to feel comfortable, knowing that they're going to be in good hands with a good provider.
Well, all your parents adore you. They love you. So how do you start that process of building that relationship with the parent?
I speak with them. I form that connection, which is main thing to do with parents. Talk to them a little about myself, and I've been doing this for a long time, letting them know that I understand them. And if they have any questions, so feel free and ask me. I'll take time and talk to them, make them feel at home.
And then how do you build a relationship with the baby?
That's
on that
my
first day?
favorite. Usually with the babies, I talk to them. I like a normal person. They're little human beings. I tell them, hi, how are you? How you doing? My name is Miss Leslie. You don't know me, but I'm going to be your teacher and your friend because we're going to play and we're going to learn a lot in school. Because we just don't come to school just to get babysat. We come to school to learn.
Well, we're going to unpack that because we want to talk a little bit more about how babies learn. But let's take care. Let's go back to like the basic needs that parents have. Um, One of the concerns that parents have on their first day is like, how do you like make a crying baby stop? I mean, I've seen you do things that are incredible. I mean, manage 12 babies and all of them are smiling and they're happy, and they're not crying because you like understand their needs.
Yes,
Like, what should parents know about that?
you have to be on point. You have to be on top of it before they even start crying. I always look at their schedule. Everybody has their own schedule. So I have 12 babies, 12 different schedules. They all eat at different time. They all drink different ounces. So I have to make sure that their bottles or their food is already ready for them before they start crying.
So preventing the crying. But what do you do when a baby's like crying all night or for hours? Is that normal?
Yes, it's normal. Sometimes it's discomfort. They're not feeling well. They're probably a little scared if it's their first few weeks at school. So I'll be able to determine which kind of cry and their feelings are towards it. If they're hungry, they have a very repetitive cry and they get kind of upset because they're very hungry.
Mhm.
When they're tired, they start yawning, rubbing their eyes. When they don't feel well, they start like crying, but softly, and they're not looking well. I could tell in their eyes if they're not feeling well, or their cheeks, they get really red. So there's different ways of knowing what's going on with their babies, and they'll let you know.
That's amazing. But one of the things that as you walk into your classroom, one of the things that if we could define one word, the experience is love. You give so much love to those babies. How do you manage to just give yourself and to promote that kind of a level of love?
I just love the babies, and like I said, they're like my little friends. So we develop a friendship since the first day, and I know each of one of them and what they like and how they are. And just by calling them by their name, sometimes I have a nickname for them. I have Chunky Baby. I have my Precious, my little princess. So they all know who I'm talking to when I determine those names and I call them.
That's beautiful. So let's talk about the learning, okay? The learning that happens in the classroom. Can babies learn, and how do they learn?
Yes, they actually do learn. So from birth to about 5 years old, they're like sponges. They track and they observe everything. So little by little, they start learning. You talk to them like a conversation. And little by little, they'll start talking once they develop the language skills. But for the moment, we use sign language, which they also catch up to. We do more, we do please, all done when they're eating. And around maybe 6 months, 7, they'll start doing it. You just have to keep doing it repeatedly every day for them, and they'll catch on to it.
Oh, wow. So another question that I have about the learning. So there are milestones that the babies have in different domains. Can you explain parents a little bit about that?
Usually from birth to 3 months, they're usually sleeping a lot, eating a lot, and growing while they sleep. That's why I don't like to wake up the sleeping babies, because their brain is developing as they sleep. So from birth to 3 months, they do a lot of sleeping. Then from 3 months to 6, this is where the fun starts. This is where they're more active, more aware, more secured. They're more on the floor, developing, learning with their friends and their caregivers, and they have fun.
As that expert in and the infant whisper, the baby whisper, how I see you putting them on the floor time, but I don't see that you put them in the in devices, or you move them around a lot.
We do
Why
move
is
them
that?
around. For me, preferably, I like them to be on the floor because they're able to do their own things. They're able to sit up, scooting, learning how to strengthen their muscle. This is why I like them on the floor more, having independent time so they could get around with more security and be confident with themselves.
And I see that you always have one-on-one time with each baby. and I see you doing like these exercises. Can you go over what can parents do at home to like promote this type of learning experience?
Yes, we do our exercising. We do our bicycle, which I call
Oh.
is good for their legs, for their
Mhm.
muscles to develop so they could start probably crawling. And sometimes some children don't even crawl. They'll go from scooting to walking. So it depends on the child and their movements and their
How do you
strength.
keep track of their milestone? If they're like on target or if they met it, is every
I'm
child
usually
infant different?
everywhere. I see everything somehow, one way or another. I see everything. So I see how all of them are learning. Sometimes I tell one of the babies, sit next to your friend here, and she's going to show you how to sit up better.
Oh wow.
Or I tell the other friend, and show her how you kick your legs to strengthen up your muscle. So I put them together sometimes so they could work together.
That's awesome. Well, but I saw this week when I visited your classroom that you had a captive audience. Like for 20 minutes, they didn't want you to stop. You are like an entertainer. Like and they were listening to you read a story, and they were so focused. Can children really like
Yes, their
learn?
attention span. You just have to be on top of it. You have to make sure they're listening to your voice. They know that voice. That's why they call me the baby whisperer. They know my voice. They're familiar with my voice. They know I'm the one that feeds them. I'm the one that holds them. I'm the one that takes them outside. So they know where to look at. And also when you're doing story time, you have to do story time with fun activities to keep their attention. Being silly, movements, everything counts because they're aware of that by their eyes or what they see.
So how can parents know if they have a good infant experience in a school?
Oh, they'll know because their baby will be happy. And sometimes the babies don't want to go back to their mom when they pick him up.
And how do you handle that transition
I
when they
tell
go
them
back
they
to
had so
school?
much fun that they didn't want to leave
Uh,
school. But here's your baby, and I hope you guys have a fun night when you get home.
and how do you track like the routines at home?
Usually I tell them this is what we've done throughout the day. So at this time, now he's a little or she's a little more mellowed down. So maybe a nice bath time, story time, and their bottle.
Wow. So, and another thing, let's talk about gadgets. Like, you have been like teaching infants for a long time, so you've probably seen trends come and go. But what new gadgets and things do you think are very helpful for parents, infant parents?
Usually being more connected with their babies, doing activities at home, or even when they go outside with them. They could do different activities, going to the park, even going to the supermarket, talking about different shape, colors as they walk by. So they always something to do with their infants. Infants are not boring. They're fun. You just have to relate with them and make it fun for them because they can't speak to you, but they understand you.
They're wiring all those little
Oh, their brains,
connections in the
yes.
brain. Well, so what has been one of the biggest lessons that being around infants have taught you?
Being around infants, I just love them because they're very, very pure. They're just fascinating to be with. I learn a lot, which they learn a lot as well as their needs and as they grow, which I like being around them because every day you learn a new thing. Every day, even for babies, things that I didn't know maybe 10 years ago, now there's something different.
Wow, really? Like I love that you're seeing it from both perspectives. That they're learning from you, you're modeling from them, but you're also learning from the child and how pure they are, and to keep that's beautiful. So, do you have a story that you want to share of an infant that I mean, you have so many
I
infants,
have so
hundreds
many
of children.
infants.
Yeah, but that you are like that you learned something from that story.
Yes, when we first started in July, I had Stetson and Asher. Very bright little children they are. I had them maybe about 7 months, and they both got along really well because they're both the same age. So they learned a lot from me, and I learned a lot from them. They knew how to put things in a box, take toys out from a box. They understood their names. They knew how to climb. They use their gross motor skills to get around. And Asher learned too from Stetson, because Stetson was a little bit more active. And I made them both to be best friends.
Oh, wow. So you brought an amazing point. Can infants start developing those social skills
Yes,
at
they
that
can.
age? Really?
Definitely. They start being together. And that's what I tell the parents as well. Once they start coming to school together and they form that bond and they continue going to different classrooms as they graduate each room, they start forming that friendship. And by the time you know it, they graduate their BBK program, and a lot of them are still friends. And then they'll continue their friendships if they go to the same elementary school, because I've seen it happen.
Oh, that is so beautiful. So, if you would have to give a word of advice to a new infant parent, what would that be?
Just trust your instinct, and the baby's going to be a baby no matter what. And you just have to sometimes let them be. And it's okay to cry sometimes, because it's going to be that disconnection that you have with the baby when you have to leave them in a daycare facility. You being detached from the baby, and it's okay. But once you get that connection with the teacher and the place, you're going to feel much better.
And what advice would you give a mom that has that guilt of leaving their
It's a lot of them.
Yeah.
It's a lot of them. And I have dealt with them. I have comforted them. I spoke to them one-on-one. And just getting that trust together with bonding and being able to talk with that parent is very important, because the parents need it.
But it's good for the babies, because
It's
we've
very
seen,
good for the
yeah.
babies.
So and it's good for the parents too. Like we have to work, and
I
you need a
understand,
break.
exactly.
Yeah.
I understand sometimes you don't want to take them to school, but it's a good experience for them. They're going to learn a lot. They're going to be interactive with others and with their teachers. And it's going to free up the parents' time to do things that they need to do.
Yeah. After, so it's not the quantity, it's the
quality.
quality. I love that. And then I see a lot of parent engagement in your classroom. So you not only take this experience, you take this beyond your classroom. So
Exactly.
you educate the parents on what to do
Yes.
when they're at home. And I love that about your
Thank
program.
you.
You can you tell us a little bit about how
They have-
a infant whisperer like you educates the parents to continue that learning.
They
at
have a
home.
bond, which when they first start, a lot of them start together at the same time, and they're the same age. And I introduce them. I'm like, oh, maybe you guys will be nice going out for the kids during the weekend or when you can, and forming that connection as well. And it'll be good for you too, with other parents, to have a little time with adult time as well. And as the baby engage with the other babies, you can engage with the other adult.
Oh, that's beautiful. And I love all the tips that you give them. Definitely, this has been an episode full of wisdom from somebody that has spent a lot of years, let's not say how many, on the trenches, spending time with the best of humanity, infants. We all come into this world to pursue a mission and vision, and it all starts in that first year with high quality early learning environments like the one that Miss Leslie promotes and advocates for. And thank you for being an advocate for
course.
infants and young children, and for doing what you love, and for teaching us so much about the science behind infants. It's
Yes.
there's a lot,
A lot to do.
behind it. And you keep on learning. So keep us posted. And thank you so much. And to our audience, if you have an infant baby today, I bet you had a lot of fun. Listen to our infant whisperer, Miss Leslie, that shares so many practical advices on how to spend those early days with your infant, and how to assess an early childhood program and the components of a high program in the infant room. So if you like this episode, please like and subscribe and share with your other infant parents. We have a lot to share with each other. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you for being
Thank you
part
for
of
having
this
me.
and for what you do.
Of course. Thank you so
Yeah.
much.